churches do as well. And but we still keep the crucifix. Because we want to be reminded that what Christ went through for us, and the price of our sins, that were nailed to him on there.
And the new rubrics for the Mass, particularly thanks to Pope Benedict, he wants a crucifix on every altar, so that the priest, while he's celebrating Mass, and the people too, they want to be able to remember that the sacrifice of the Mass is the sacrifice of Calvary in an unbloody manner. And so the crucifix is important for the priest and for the people to see during the sacred liturgy.
And I think I love the EWTN chapel here because they have the corpus on both sides,
yes.
which is very nice. When I was pastor, I had the 6 candlesticks and the cross and the crucifix in the center, but the crucifix faced me, but behind me over the tabernacle was a big, beautiful, large crucifix for the people then to also gaze.
Which I think is very helpful. Okay. Let's see what else we have here.
Dear Father Trigilio, I need to know how I should answer the following Protestant claim. It doesn't matter if I belong to any particular denomination. What matters is my relationship to Jesus. Which is more important, a relationship to Jesus or membership in the church? I've heard it said that neither contradicts the other, but all the Protestants I know seem to have a good relationship with Christ, and they have nothing to do with the church whatsoever. Is church membership more important than one's spirituality? Thanks, Casey.
Well, Casey, you've fallen into the same trap that a lot of people fall into, and it's not your fault. That there's this phony argument out there that we have to choose between either or. And Pope Benedict tells us we're not a church of the either or, we're the church of the both and. We need a personal relationship with Christ by all means, but we also need a relationship with his bride, the church. It's part of him. It's not incidental to him. In the same way, for instance, if you're going to marry someone, you have that relationship not just with your spouse-to-be, but with their family, because that's part of them. They don't separate that tie. So when your mom and my mom married our dads, they become part of the family, and that was part of the deal, and it wasn't just a sentimental idea. You figure these are the people who were with him during the formation of his life. They're going to continue as part of his life. And when I marry this person, I'm not pulling him away from that. I'm joining into this relationship. So when a person becomes a Christian, yes, there's this individual relationship with Christ, but then there's this relationship with my neighbor, with my fellow church member, and that makes the cross. And that's the sign of Christianity, that it's both horizontal and vertical. It's communal and also individual.
Now, also, I would have to say that specifically being registered in a parish is also important for Catholics because of the sacraments being distributed and the fact that the Catholic Church keeps very excellent records. So when you become, when you're a Catholic, you are in whatever town you live in or parish confines you're in, you need to register in your parish because that's where your sacramental file will be kept from the time that you receive the sacraments in that church. So, for example, let's say you were baptized in another town, and now you live somewhere else, but you know that in that town is where your baptism, all your record of your baptism will be there. In the new parish where you join in the confines, your sacramental file will be updated. So let's say you receive communion, and then your First Holy Communion, and then confirmation. That will be kept in that church. A notice will be sent to your church of baptism so that on the back of it, marriages to the church of baptism will have all these notifications. Or when I received holy orders, my church of baptism has that mark on there in the back. So that's another part.
And when you want to be a sponsor for baptism or confirmation, if you're not registered in the parish,
right,
the pastor doesn't know you. He won't be able to sign a document authorizing you to be that sponsor for baptism or confirmation.
Whereas Protestants, they might have the community, and they're big on fellowship and things like that, but they don't have the necessity of joining that. And they can cross over to different denominations and things like that. But as you once mentioned, that for a Catholic to do that is like giving up your nationality. But for a Protestant to go from Methodist to Presbyterian is like going from one state to another state. So that's another thing too that.
Yes, the members, belonging to the Catholic Church is more than just you're signing up as your membership. But as you said, there's a very practical advantage to that. For instance, when someone wants to get married or they want the sacraments, and also you identify with a place. It doesn't mean you have to go to mass there. You can go to mass at any Catholic church, but to have an identity, this is my parish. These people are praying for me. I'm praying for them. There is this connection that we make to a community, even if we're not necessarily there every week. We may go to mass at different parishes. I still have a location, like my home.
Right.
That's my neighborhood. I mean,
your base.
Your base, exactly, and you have a connection to that. And you're supposed
to support that base too.
Exactly, to support.
It's one of the precepts of the church. Yeah.
Precept of the church to support your parish financially and spiritually. I'm glad you said that, Father Ken. Okay.
Dear Father Trujillo, this has been really bothering me. There is an argument going on in my daughter's school about Jesus' birthplace. The argument is that Jesus was born in a cave where livestock and camels were kept. What I have learned in the past, along with so many others, was that Jesus was born in a manger inside a stable. Was a stable considered a cave? I see the nativity tradition as taking place in a stable. Can you give me an answer based on the biblical history in the Catholic Church? Thank you, Margaret.
Well, Margaret, it has not been solidly defined de fide by the Holy See as to the structure in which Jesus was born. So the scholars are still debating whether it was a cave, whether it was a manger per se. I think when St. Francis of Assisi came out with the Christmas Crash and Nativity, said it was far easier to construct and build a manger scene out of wood than it was to make your own little cave. I leave that to the archaeologists, the historians to settle once and for all. But just like with the location of the tomb of Christ, the Holy Sepulchre, you got people who say, it must have looked like a little garden. Well, it may have looked like a little garden at the time of Christ, because at that time, the city of Jerusalem was much smaller on the city limits, and now it got much larger extension, so that what was outside the city is now inside the city, and then they built church upon church upon church. So when Protestants go to the Holy Land, they don't want to visit the Holy Sepulchre, even though that's what we consider the actual historical site. They want to go to a garden that looks like what it would have looked like when Jesus, was buried in the tomb. Well, that's nice, but the reality of his death and burial and resurrection transcends, even the space. Even if somebody could conclusively show you that's not where he was buried, okay? It's not going to destroy my faith, because I know he died, I know he rose, and I know he ascended into heaven. It's nice to know if this is the location where he was born, or where he was buried, and where he was resurrected. But that's not the essence of the faith. It's what happened, not where it took place.
Now, there's a couple of points. First of all, wood is kind of scarce in the Holy Land. It's mostly desert. So they had to be ingenious in finding places to live and to store their livestock. So often caves would be used as stables. So it doesn't have to be a contradiction. They could have been used as both. And then, of course, artists' rendition of this, the wooden stable, has changed. And I think one of the most beautiful renditions are the Neapolitan. In Italian, we call them presepios, and they call them creches or nativity scenes. And it's very interesting, because you have the pinnacle, the center, which is the birth of Christ, Mary and Joseph, and Roman pillars. And then all around it, you might have a fishmonger, a pizza, a man making bread, and then you have the flower carts and all this, everything of an 18th century village. In fact, all the figures are wearing 18th century clothes, and you can visit these beautiful Neapolitan creches. One is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. They put this creche out. Another one is in Bethlehem, Connecticut, at Regina Laudis. Their cloistered Benedictine sisters. They have a magnificent Neapolitan creche. Another one at the Summer Royal Palace in Naples. There's 2 beautiful rooms devoted to this Neapolitan creche. did that actually look like the scene? No, but what the artist is trying to give was that it was in a normal town,
Exactly.
business was going on, things were happening, and yet the birth of Christ took place. So it could be a cave. Caves were certainly used as housing and also for livestock. This is true. Could have been a wooden structure stable. It could have been that too. Yeah. That's not the important thing. Yeah. The important thing is that Christ was born, and he was born in Bethlehem.
Exactly.
And you can visit that magnificent shrine, too, in the Church of the Nativity.
I intend to do that someday. Well, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back in a few moments with more Web of Faith.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, Executive Director of Life Issues Institute.
The German Medical Association has made a surprising apology for its role in the Holocaust of World War II. It said, contrary to belief, the doctors weren't forced to participate in experimenting on and killing prisoners, but enthusiastically led the way.
Father Ryan, come in, Father Ryan. Are you there, Father Ryan?
I am here.
I hear you, man. We see you.
That's good news. I thought you weren't with us this week, Jeff.
Remarkable. Hey, I'm always here.
Yeah, he's like the Trinity.
I'm not sure that's accurate.
No, I wouldn't say
that's actually not accurate at all. You're right.
What can I say? How do I need to frame up here?
Tilt up. Tilt down. Good. Is that
And maybe center up just a bit? Just a moment.
Your dancing will not help things.
Hang on, let me adjust my chair.
Oh, then you'll probably have to tilt down again.
Is that okay?
No.
Tilt down just a touch, ever so slight. Money.
I'd like some, please.
Chicken dinner.
That was that guy at Steubenville, that professor Mark Miriavalli, who would be asking questions about, in class, and he was teaching advanced Mariology, the complicated stuff. And he would say, what is the title of the Blessed Virgin Mary that fits with this particular dogma? And someone would go, Our Lady of Cabejo, and he'd go, that's money. And you're just like, how do you, what?
I suppose it is, but...
Peter Falk thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'll bet he used it for a long time.
Yeah, about a year. Anytime someone would say to me, agree with that's money. Okay.
Winner, chicken dinner. You can tilt down just a little bit more. Little more. Feel it. More. More, says Ed. More.
He's out of the safe area.
Good.
My top of my head's out of safe. My bald spot I can put right in the center by doing this. If that helps.
It doesn't.
Good work.
Father Ryan, flush the lake.
We don't have a lake.
Good work.
Yeah. Well, I didn't put a block for Jeff in the thing, so we have to give him a story. So, Father Chris, just reassign a story. If you will.
Who do I?
I'll just follow along. Don't worry about that.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Is Kathleen going to be here as well?
We think.
Yeah. Oh. That'll go away.
Well, I am. I've decided about a week ago. I said I need to reread the Harry Potter series, and so now I'm on book 5 after 6 days. I've been in a bit of a zone.
I've had a headache for 3 days in Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
Well, I'm thinking seriously about getting some butterbeer.
Yeah, I do like the thought of it.
I've had it. It's just butterscotch flavored root beer. It's not particularly tasty.
No, I expect something thicker in my butterbeer.
Don't know what that means.
A thicker consistency. Root beer is not thick.
Okay. But do you feel like it should
be
like a cream
scientists
soda?
maintain that root beer is not thick. Science shows us this.
Maybe your science does.
Oh, TMR 1013 says she's been rereading too, and she needs to start book 5. School kinda got in the way.
Book 5 is the hardest of all
Is
the
that
Harry
Order of the
Potters to
Phoenix?
read.
Is that
Gotta
that?
get on the, what?
Is that Order of the Phoenix?
Yes.
That's a great book, though.
It's very much like, I'm realizing it's a lot more like Alpha Centauri, because it's very difficult and tedious.
Yeah.
But the payoff is spectacular.
Yeah, it's darker.
But you get to the end of it, and the payoff is so good that it's worth all the frustration and the anxiety of reading the stupid book, because you get to the end of it and you're like, this is awesome.
This is a good book. This one was
Can't
a
remember
good
how
one.
to get to the chat thingy. Let's see, I do this, and then I click this, because we can't use the old chat thingy. We have to use the new chat thingy.
You must use the new chat thing.
Apparently, our site is vulnerable for, our chatwing.com is vulnerable to the Heartbleed SSL bug.
Oh, really? I'm loading it. I mean, without a problem.
No, I mean, I have a Chrome extension that tells me if something could possibly be
That.
by Heartbleed.
Lovely. Lovely.
Hobart College has a butter extra stout. That's fun. There actually is a beer that's made with, you can use lactose sugar, and so it ends up kind of having a milk stout flavor.
Oh. As long as it's not curdled milk, I think that'd be okay.
No, it's interesting. It's very, very thick beer. It's like what you're talking about. It's thick on the tongue.
I like that. Yeah.
I made the mistake of watching one of what arguably could be one of the worst movies ever made yesterday.
Really?
Well, I read a review of Vampire Academy.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, this movie, they said the books are great, and don't let people tell you the acting is not good. The acting's fine. It's not the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. It's the worst in the world. It's so unimaginably bad. Nothing about it's just terrible. Every conceivable aspect of it. I stopped wanting to read the books, because I've read some of these kind of like, sort of like Hogwarts kind of spin-off books. This one was rancid. I mean, the movie was so unimaginably terrible. They had the audacity to do a teaser for the second film at the end. Negative.
Maybe if you're lucky, it'll be like Buckaroo Banzai. They do the teaser for it, and it never, ever materializes.
I hope so, because, man, this movie was rot gut. Hobart in the chat room, that's not a personal jab. That's from the movie Coneheads, where he's buying a fake ID, and he goes, Hobart?
No, it's Hobart College. Put them together.
Hobart College?
Father Ryan?
Yes.
May I have you pan to your right just a smidge, please?
This way?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, a bit more. I'm just looking at the center line here. There you go. Money.
Todd.
That's money.
That's money. Hobart College?
Winner, chicken dinner.
My mother went there.
Brockton, Massachusetts.
Hey!
Hey, we like that clean-shaven look, by the way, there, Father. You're looking.
Grazie.
Yeah, you look at sharp.
I like me some short hair and some clean shavenness.
You know this little cartoon, olive oil, Popeye, the old, and what was it? Bluto or
Yeah, that's who it
Brutus?
was. Yeah.
Bluto.
Yeah, anyway, she was singing that song, I love a clean-shaven man. And so Popeye and Bluto are duking it out to who can be the most clean-shaven.
Yeah.
And then she hooks up with Wimpy. So, anyway.
Well, the man's got an unlimited supply of hamburgers.
Yes!
By,
which I'll
by
gladly pay you
consignment.
next Tuesday.
Consignment burgers. I'd bet he didn't ever pay for a burger. Ever. Oh, grazie. All right.
This DOS break room article is absolutely the funniest thing I've ever read in my life.
The who what?
The thing about DOS break room, I think it's hysterical.
Yes.
I can't believe I didn't have this idea. hope Kathleen shows up because I was kind of depending on her to give us some interesting thoughts on the remarkable story there, number 2.
Well, she put in her textual message, and I quote, uh-oh, that's not her. Oh. I'm flying in super hot today.
It doesn't mean anything.
To which I responded, word. Maybe I should have responded, that's money.
Yeah, you should have responded with the May the 4th be with you.
That's something that Aaron Sorkin would say. That's
yeah,
money.
it kind of is.
Shoe money tonight. Yeah, anyway.
Everything about Father Chad Partaine's first communion picture is pretty except this girl who looks like she is dressed like Mick Jagger. She's an altar server, but she's wearing this this insane kind of alb thing with this huge collar that comes like here and has nothing at all here. So it's kind of David Bowie more than Mick Jagger. So she looks kind of like she's wearing a specially constructed David Bowie alb to serve the Mass. It makes no sense.
We do have some members from Pietà Ministries. Actually, just one. Only one. And she's watching how everything goes. We have Ed Ball, who's switching video, and Mary Kate is looking over his shoulder. And then there's me. I'm here. And Jeff. So we've got a full house.
That's great news. Good thing we don't mind dead air.
I love it.
I love it. Oh, the other thing about this particularly terrible movie, what you call it?
Vampire Academy.
Yo, it was Vampire Academy.
That should have been your first
the
stop.
entire thing is set on the campus of a big Russian Orthodox church. So, for no reason I can tell, they all go to Mass. And the Russian Orthodox priest, for no apparent reason, has climbed up on a pulpit that is clearly a Roman pulpit, screaming and yelling at them.
Oh, they're just having
for
generic.
No reason.
They're having generic religious service.
Yeah, but he was vested perfectly. I mean, the whole it was fully vested.
Well, we don't want to do the whole divine liturgy thing, but how would you dress them? How would you dress them? That's what we really want because they look awesome on TV. Oh, speaking of looking awesome on TV, it's Kathleen.
She's burning hot, folks.
We might need some makeup.
We might need some makeup, she said.
Quickly, get a chair and some lights.
He said, quickly, get a chair and some lights. That's okay. She still smells springtime fresh, everyone.
Well, isn't that good news?
That is good news. Because I have to sit next to her.
Fine.
Fine. Fine.
So a man up here to read Robert Livingston's Seagulls. Man in the front reads Seagulls. Beautiful piece of poetry. Up and down.
Okay, let's see. Ready stream, turn on recorder. The recorder is recording. I'm wondering if I should... Hey, Jeff, is our audio recorder recording?
Not yet. It's in standby mode.
Oh, okay.
I guess now's a good time to do that. Is our video recorder recording? We got a double thumbs up.
That's right. 2 thumbs up. Way up.
Look, ooh, oh yeah.
Whoa!
That's not allowed on TV.
Right.
This is the too hot for webcast edition of Catholic Underground.
I thought about wearing a
I
cardigan.
can't look directly at you.
But then I remember that it was May.
Yeah, May is not cardigan weather. Oh, so you're
In
trying
South
to
America.
match what you're wearing with the season, so that
Well, it was too hot to wear it. I mean, why wear a cardigan?
that's true. And this is one of those studios. Normally, real studios are freezing.
Yeah.
You know, because of the lights and everything. Not here.
I think I got it. Did I got it? I need to wear higher collar shirts. because-
Just realized we're 2 minutes away.
We are 2-ish minutes. Well, 5,
Thank you.
really.
It's 6:55. I know we start at 57 after.
No, we end at 58:30 after.
Oh.
We start
right,
on
right.
the hour.
I see now. I see how.
Thank you.
What happened?
Thank you.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hey.
How did MP3 go?
Excellent. It went really well.
I don't believe you.
Well, I tell no lies.
That's your own problem.
That's
What do you want me to do about it?
that's a lie because I do tell lies, but not on a regular basis.
Well, I had
I'm
a
lying.
guy.
I do lie. Wait, no, what?
I did have a guy one time tell me that he says, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't cuss, I don't run around with my wife, but I do lie.
Te absolvo. I gotta
We-
say, I love Jesus, but I drink a little. All right, I guess one of us should pray, huh?
We ought to pray.
All right.
Yeah.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Almighty God, we give you thanks for the gift of media, for the gift of being able to transmit your gospel in these many ways. We ask that you would help us to be like those disciples on the road to Emmaus, listening for you, watching for you, and ready to have our hearts burn with your word and the Eucharist. We ask that you help us to say things that will truly help men, that will really help them on their way to salvation, and keep us from all foolish things that do not need to be said. Lord, we ask that you would bless our technology and all of those who watch us or listen to us, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we're going to go hot to air live. Stand
We'll
by.
see you in a moment.
To the show. They'll discuss his calling to shepherd the lost and the faithful to the Catholic Church. That's on the next Journey Home, only on EWTN.
This is EWTN Radio.
Johnny's Pizza House in Baton Rouge, 763-9797, and in Central, 615-8335. Hi, I'm Charles Sava with Johnny's Pizza House, proud supporters of Catholic Community Radio.
Macedo Lind is a locally owned group benefits agency and a proud supporter of programming on Catholic Community Radio. Macedo Lind, 866-237-7723, online at info@macedolind.com.
Doctors James Abair and Jacob Henderson of Central Dental Care would like to thank Catholic Community Radio for fighting tooth decay in Central and the Baton Rouge areas. Central Dental Care, 261-6645 or centraldentalcare.com.
Citizens Bank and Trust is a proud supporter of Catholic Community Radio. Citizens Bank and Trust, online at citizensbankandtrust.com. That's citizensbankandtrust.com.
Catholic Community Radio is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your financial gift is tax deductible. We are here for you, but we can't do it without your help. Log on to CatholicCommunityRadio.org today.
Catholic Community Radio can't happen without your spiritual support, but we're also praying for you. Call our prayer force today, and we'll add your prayers to our growing teams of rosary groups, Eucharistic adorers, and small faith communities. 225-341-2720. Hey gang, Father Chris Decker here. Even though Catholic radio comes into your ears, there's even more for your eyes at CatholicCommunityRadio.org. Our brand new site lets you listen online, has schedules to search for your favorite show. It's even got more ways you can interact with us, a volunteer form, email contacts, and a way for you to tell us about events for us to mention on the air. Discover our history and access our Facebook and Twitter feeds. There's all this and so much more. So surf on over to the brand new CatholicCommunityRadio.org. That's CatholicCommunityRadio.org.
Catholic Community Radio
Catholic radio for your community
is listener supported.
1380
WPYR Baton Rouge.
This is your station.
Catholic radio for your community. From the Catholic Underground.
Today on the show, we relieve a little stress. We grade some papers. We put the Vatican on our hard drive. We rethink the Catholic funeral. We tell you our picks of the week and so much more. The Catholic Underground starts right now. Alrighty, folks. If you're listening from Wyoming, we'll still take you anyway. It's the Catholic Underground, your weekly Catholic guide to the digital continent. It's episode number 263. I'm Father Chris Decker. If you indeed are listening live, you can catch us in the chat room at CatholicUnderground.tv. And joining me this week, we've got Father Ryan Humphreys. He's the rector of the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in historic Natchitoches, Louisiana. He's also our self-appointed brisketeer. Father Ryan, how are you and the smoked meats of Natchitoches doing?
Things are wonderful and smoky and delicious and just a hint of pepper.
Perfect. Kathleen Lee joins us. She is a teacher at St. Joseph's Academy in Baton Rouge. It's almost summertime, but she's still the semi-pro faith ninja. Hey, Kathleen.
How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
And thank you for asking. We've also got Jeff Blackwell, our technical director of the Catholic Underground. He's the commandant of the Jeff Star 1 near-Earth orbit satellite.
Yes.
Hello, Jeff.
It's good to be here. I'm wearing my skinny jeans today.
Oh my! Well, he'll be there for a while. We also have Mary Kate Taylor, who is in the video cave, and Ed Ball, who is helping out with video, and we've even got some folks from Pieta Ministries who are auditing us today. So we're happy to have really a house full, and you know, maybe as a CU group we should get together and go to Boise, Idaho, to Das Break Room, Father, because. I don't know. This sounds like a really cool idea to have a little bit of stress relief. Basically, you buy stuff and you break stuff, right?
Wow.
Yeah, this guy, what he does is he has the space, and you can go in, and he's got safety equipment you can rent. He's got this big room which is designed to take a lot of beatings, and then he'll sell you junk, TVs, printers, anything that you hate. He'll sell it to you, and then allow you to beat it to death with a hammer or a baseball bat or whatever seems good for you.
Wow.
And it just seems like an awful lot of fun to me.
I know. I'll put that stuff in a box, and I'll mail that box to myself. And when it arrives, smash it with a hammer. But I have to pay for it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You pay a fee to go into the room and to rent the equipment, and then you pay. You can buy the junk off him separate. Now, he does have happy hour daily where you get a discount of breaking. You can break all kinds of stuff, I guess, at some kind of reduced rate.
Now, I'm in. I'm in for a penny, in for a pounding. Here, just to. It's like laser tag, except you get a bat.
Yeah. Now, can you bring your own stuff to break?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, theoretically, you can. I think that something along the lines of it can't be toxic.
So no mutagen.
Yeah, you can't bring compound X or anything like that, but otherwise you're fine.
Well, that's a good thing. Kathleen, would you be in for this?
Yeah, actually, we've done
this.
Yeah, we did something very similar to this for our seniors' wellness day. They took scales. They were talking about body image, and they took scales and smashed it. I've never seen so many angry young women before at inanimate objects. It was
well, because you've had this experience, would you say that it was a cathartic one?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Girls that they didn't even think they had problems with what they were doing. They were like, that just felt good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think it's good just to hit stuff, not people, but stuff.
Now,
Jeff, how about? Do you like this idea? Have you actually ever destroyed a piece of audio equipment?
I have actually a television set.
Oh,
that wouldn't behave itself. Of course, that was the old CRT type, and
was it one of those that was as big as the console that it was sitting in?
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
I knew it. I know the TV.
And shotgun, right to the screen, man. It's just like, oh
wow! So you took out the heavy artillery?
Yeah, several times.
Oh, was it out back the shed?
Yeah, we lived in my family actually lived out in the sticks in central Louisiana. So we took it out to the woods and put it to rest.
That's lovely. I don't know. I think that's a great idea. I I feel like I've had a little stress relief just talking about the thought of doing that.
Well, yeah, every time we get together, Father Chris talks about the gremlins coming out through the equipment. So
Gremlins love Catholic media.
There might be some use for this.
There could.
For us.
If only the gremlins. We could just take the gremlins.
Yeah.
And look, in storage, I've got some old analog equipment that we can help you with your stress relief there, Father. Anytime you're ready.
That would make an awesome YouTube video. It could even go viral. Priest destroys equipment.
Let's do that.
I might get a phone call from, somebody at the office.
Okay.
Well, Kathleen, you probably are doing this already, because I know that at St. Joseph's Academy, where you go,
yeah,
teach,
I go there.
There's an awful lot of technology in the classroom.
Yeah, for about the last, I guess, 12, 13 years, we've been a laptop-based school.
Yeah.
So we do everything.
Is that the laptop you're on?
Yes, it is.
Oh, this is the one with the swivelly, swirly screen.
Like it
yeah.
does this.
Oh, she's going to show you. Look at that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So they've got all this. Now this is for the students have all their stuff, but do you as teachers have specific stuff for grading and turning in assignments? Because that stuff is here now.
Sure, yeah. And I know LSU, I know a bunch of the colleges, if you are a laptop based school, you probably use Moodle. A funny word, but a great
Pardon. Tell us what you really think.
Father Ryan. Father Ryan.
I have a friend who codes Moodle. He writes like the code for it.
Yeah.
It's just horrific. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry, but it's such a rancid piece of software. It's just important to know.
Yeah.
I hate it a lot.
It's an online website where I have my classes, and all my students are in each class, and I can post assignments. I can give them a place to turn it in. I can pull them off of Moodle and grade it and give it back to them. So it's pretty nice. There are definitely probably some better some better applications out there.
And Father Ryan, some of these apps are for mobile devices.
Well, the big push that's happening now is the laptops were the start, but now it's we want to go to tablet only kind of thing. And in fact, that's what I've been looking at for my school. And there are actually quite a lot of them that are trying to do different things. The smart board companies are all trying to kind of get you into their ecosystem, and it's extremely expensive. And so we're starting to see is a lot of other companies that are breaking out and doing apps that you basically, the student installs the app on their computer, teacher installs the app on their app iPad, and then using their online service, you sync it up, and then the student submits homework. The homework, like in the app we're recommending here, it's called Remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
The student types their paper in anything they want, whatever app, Word, Pages, whatever. Then they put that on the iPad and they click submit. It goes through a plagiarism detector, and it shows up on the teacher's in a queue on the teacher's app.
Wow.
And then they grade the papers. They're able to see grammar errors, spelling errors, possible plagiarism. They're able to see this came from Wikipedia kind of thing. And then they can read it, they can make notes, they can make comments, they grade the paper, and then it's there in the cloud. And so mom and dad can sign in and see it. And it allows a kind of a syncing up that's not locked into the ecosystem of the smart board, or the Magellan board or whatever kind of specific system the school was kind of using.
If it's a Promethean board, then I think they should do their Greek history. Prometheus, wasn't he the fire bringer?
It didn't go well for
I was
Prometheus.
going to say, he was kind of I wouldn't name a smart board that, especially if I'm trying to get you into my ecosystem. But I think, even though I wasn't a bad student in the sense that I didn't plagiarize, because I think we can all agree, way too many original thoughts. But I probably would have gotten in trouble because, especially in college, I quote heavily, I guess as long as you're doing a bibliography or whatever. But
those algorithms that search for plagiarism don't actually, that's not problems with quotations. What they do is they're smart enough to know that something is inset, something is blocked, something is single quote, double quote.
So if you're just pulling large bits of text and pasting them in without doing anything else, it'll flag that.
Well, what it'll actually do is it'll look for inline quotations that are not quoted. that's where it's really bad. So like if there's an entire paragraph that's not inset, it's not block quoted, and then there's one or two or three kind of little conjunctions in the middle, and there's no quotations, then that thing knows he's trying to pass this off as his own work. And so most of these filters have gotten extremely clever in being able to cut through that. Because remember, basically all of our text documents now are XML documents, so it's no longer just RTF. And so there's a lot of stuff you can do with basically a nerd like me sitting on the end of it going, I wonder what I'd do there. Nerding it.
I don't know. Kathleen, does this make your job as a teacher more difficult or easier?
Well, what I'm thinking is, this plagiarism checker, the thing that flags, spelling and grammar. I teach theology, and I'll be very honest. I loved English. I was strong in English and history, but I am not a grammar checker. I always tell my girls, I check for content. So put your effort in the content. And I probably ruin their English, lessons because I say, look, just copy and paste the website you get it from. I don't need a whole bibliography.
Their English teacher doesn't like you.
I'm single-handedly, destroying any English knowledge that our high school students are, leaving high school with.
And me, I'd be the opposite. I'd look for the grammar, and then I'd give the content a pass.
But see, if I have that already done, especially for me, like if I have that already checked, and I can just go in and go, yeah, that's wrong. It's not the first thing I'll look for. And with, this year I only have 3 classes, but I have 52 girls. With 52 papers to read, I'm not going to go back and read several times. So I think that this is great.
So Father Ryan, you're a non-teacher.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think that as much as I don't personally have an affinity for doing stuff on iPads and tablets the way that a lot of the kids do, it's very natural for them. I've literally seen him watch a kid type a 5 or 6 page paper on an iPad. And so I think that the reality is that that's the direction we're going. The reality is that I'd rather see them get a newly updated textbook every year for the same price as I can buy a big expensive one that's going to be outdated next week. And so I like the idea of using an iPad curriculum, and I think this is just another step in the process. Now, I don't think that Remarkable is the only one out there. I think there's a bunch of apps, but it's just interesting to watch as this market kind of starts to stabilize in the next 2 or 3 years, because, of course, I'm the president, the provost, the chancellor of a school, and so I'm looking at this closely for seeing what we're going to do. At my school, we've already started using Duolingo, so we're not afraid of using, web apps that are not necessarily big money, kind of thing. So, who knows?
Yeah, I suppose we can say time will tell, but the time is now, and these things are in schools. So, so maybe you're a teacher. Let us know what you think if you're using one of these apps, or is it making your life easier, or is it making things more difficult? Backchat@catholicunderground.com is the place to go. It's the email to comment, or you can of course always go to facebook.com/CatholicUnderground and let us know in the com box there on the Facebook. You are listening to the Catholic Underground. We are online at CatholicUnderground.tv, and I am Father Chris Decker. Father Ryan Humphreys joins me from Natchitoches, Louisiana. Jeff Blackwell is on the big soundboard. Kathleen Lee, Mary Kate Taylor, and Ed Ball, whom you do not see, but we know they are here. It's kind of a faith thing. Yeah. Our picks of the week are coming up a little bit later. But first, we're going to go from the beginning of life to the other end. Everplans, I'm not kidding you. Everplans stores your end-of-life documents and securely shows them to the people you want to see them. And for our embalming expert, we go to Father Ryan. Digital embalming.
The actually end-of-life documents is one of those things that more and more people are asking questions about, because it used to be fairly easy to die, and now you got to redo paperwork before you're allowed to. And so it really is kind of a bigger deal than it seems. Who is going to be your medical proxy, and how are they going to get that information? And if you update that information, how are they going to know what you want to do? The same thing with your will, the same thing with your legal power of attorney, the same thing with your estate documents, all your different deeds and things like that. It's extremely confusing. And so even if you know what you need in terms of all the papers, it's difficult to figure out how to get them all in order and how to let your different executors know about those things. Because what I certainly don't want to do is I don't want to call the executor of my will, Father Chad Partain, and say, here's the password to my computer, and here's the password to my phone, and here's the password to my email address.
Yeah.
I'd rather not just, let him know all those things. And so whatever Everplans intends to do is, one, it'll guide you through all the documents.
A little checklist type of thing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because they're like 18.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And then after it's guided you through, it'll store those for you. It'll allow you to upload some extra ones if you've already done some on your own, and it allows you to give access selectively to those documents to other people. And of course, there's a for pay version if you want the fancier and extra stuff. But really, it gives you all the stuff you need so that when you do die, you're able to leave your affairs, quote unquote, in order, which is really an enormous benefit for others because, this can take 4, 5, 6 years of your children's lives and massive attorney fees, and that's just not good. Especially if you're a priest, you're leaving that then for the people of the diocese to pay for, and that's almost sinful.
Yeah, it's funny. Folks always say, "Well, doesn't the diocese just take care of everything on your death?" And I said, well, no, not really, actually. We're responsible for having our affairs, if you will, in order. We're responsible for having our Knights of Columbus insurance to pay for our funeral and that sort of thing. But I could see, I think off the cuff we might say, oh, well, this is morbid, right? I'm going to do all of this stuff, and I'm going to go through this process, and I'm not even dead yet. Just doing it makes me think about, well, gee, what's it going to be like when I'm dead? But on the other hand, this is, to me, this is a very good exercise. It's a way that perhaps we wouldn't think of using the digital continent as Catholics, but it's a way that's very important because, as St. Benedict tells us, we should keep death always before us. Why? Because it's going to happen. And so I think this is a good idea, besides the fact that it has an obvious advantage to those who come after you who have to try and piece everything together from your estate.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to say that we as Catholics are preparing our soul for that time when we're no longer living, breathing human beings. And having gone through this experience, and I know that a lot of listeners and viewers have the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff after the fact that you have to take care of, not only just the final arrangements, but there were instances where bank accounts, credit accounts that you have to settle, or hospital bills, things like that.
Right.
So this is a great idea. And as a side note, Father Ryan, I don't know if you've heard about the smart headstones.
Oh yeah,
I'm serious.
Is there like a QR code on tombstone?
Yeah.
So you scan it and you get a little note from the deceased.
Photos,
YouTube video.
recordings,
It's mostly YouTube videos, or sometimes they'll host like an audio file.
So there's somebody looking ahead.
If you're watching this, it means that I have died in a freak gasoline fight accident.
Yeah.
So make sure that you take all of my stuff and put it in a cave. Yeah. There. Yeah.
So
he was down by the river.
Down Circa del Rio.
But it is
Circa del Rio. That's an important detail.
But that's a great idea. That this part of that preparation for your demise. So I think it's good.
Kathleen,
That's gross.
you're going to die.
What?
One of these
I'm
days.
like my dad. My dad says that. He's like, I'm never going to die. I'm like, what?
Oh, you and Commander Riker
Yeah.
going to live forever.
That's unceremoniously and unquestionably incorrect.
That's right. I don't know.
Sorry.
Well, as somebody who's never going to die,
Debbie Downer.
they never did find out a way to stop death. Except Jesus.
Jesus.
You know.
He won.
Yeah, he did. He won the victory. But yeah, as somebody who was kind of freaked out by this dying thing.
Yeah. I've never really, not that I have an issue with death. I am as uncomfortable with death as the next person. I don't really think about it. There's those times when you can't sleep.
Yeah.
And thoughts like that pop in your head, and you're like,
There's going to be a time where I'm no longer here.
Yeah. I don't think about it that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how I would, I would plan for that. I imagine that when you start a family, that's when you start looking at things like that. Or when you just get older.
Yeah, but Kathleen, you could be in a freak gasoline fight accident anytime. I'm just saying.
Right.
I like this.
Have you ever had an orange mochaccino? I mean, orange
mocha frappuccino, Kathleen.
Yeah,
that's how it starts. That's the gateway beverage.
I don't drink coffee.
Before you know it, you've had an orange mocha frappuccino and you're in a freak gasoline fight accident.
That's right. Listening to Wham.
Yeah.
Riding an open top Jeep in California.
That's right. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It can happen to anybody.
Anybody.
At any time.
At any time.
More meaningful that way.
It is.
Look, there goes the show.
Bet you didn't even know what a googly was. Anyway, we go from death to the library.
What a transition.
You like that?
I like
Close
that.
enough.
So the Vatican Library, speaking of tomes and tomes and tomes of things that dead people have written, the Vatican Library is beginning a 100-year project, so we'll be dead by the time it gets done, to scan and archive its entire collection.
Wow.
Its entire collection. So according to the experts, it should take about 4 years for every 3,000 pages that the Vatican Library scans. They're using special scanners and special handling techniques and a whole pile of hard drives. It might look like my editing suite, actually. Father Ryan has seen it. And so they're expecting to use, get this, 40,000 terabytes. What's a petabyte? Is that anywhere near?
That would be 40 petabytes.
40 petabytes of data. Which will probably fit on a digital watch by the time they're done with the project. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And in 100 years, I would imagine that we will have data 40,000 terabytes just on a small thumb drive. I bet.
Yeah.
So let's see. The cost for the first round of scans is going to be about $25 million, and each successive 4-year round will become a little bit cheaper. By volume. So. Here's the question: why spend time and money on a 500-year-old letter from Saint Bobbert of Middleworth? Why would we do this, Father Ryan? This is just part of who we are, right?
Yeah, I think it's our heritage. So much of what the Vatican has is art, and it has this history. And people say, "Oh, you could sell this and give to the poor," but the church says, "Look, this is our heritage. It's not designed. It's not wealth. It's what made us who we are, and this is what the church did when Rome fell. We saved and preserved all these things, and this is just the next step in preserving them, because eventually the paper is going to dissolve. Eventually, the books will no longer hold their cohesion, and so we need to find some way to keep this part of our human heritage together. And so, it's our legacy. It's what God has given us through history.
That's right. And did you know you can look on the Vatican's updated website. Yeah, that's a whole nother show. I like it. You can look on the Vatican's updated website. There is a papal commission for the cultural patrimony of the church. And the notion, of course, is that we must preserve culture, especially the culture of the church, because we know that those who preserve culture are the ones who define culture, you see. And so the church really, because she is who she is, and all culture that has ever been and will ever be, in a sense, passes through her. She really is kind of like I don't really like. Well, if I can use a crude term, she's like a pool filter. All of the important things that happen kind of stick to the walls of Mother Church, and she records them. And make sure that they're there for posterity, so that others can look back and see ultimately in Scripture the reason for our hope, the reason for our joy, the things that happened that brought crucifixion in our society, the things that happened that brought great joy and redemption in our society. And if you remember, of course, in World War II, a lot of what now St. John Paul II is known for is preserving the culture of Poland. He wrote plays, he wrote poetry. He wrote and performed extensively, and he did this not just because he was an artist, but because he knew that to preserve authentic culture is to preserve a people. And I think that this is an important thing. I just hope, I'm wondering if they're going to make it public. Some of this stuff would be great to be able to search through it on the internet.
The word is that once they've got the scan complete, then they'll do a lower quality version for the web. For people to see, and it will become obviously some kind of extremely complicated, large website. But you're talking about still huge quantities of data. So, it's Italy. It may be done.
Yeah.
50, 60, 80 years.
Yeah, that's why it's a 100-year plan.
Years in the making, sure.
Listen, it's about 99 years since we said we were going to do that plan. So maybe we should start. I don't know. Maybe after the reposo, we rest, then we do it. Okay. Okay. I think.
If this was the United States, we'd be done by March next year.
Yeah.
But this is Italy, so we're looking about 100 years. Because
we think in centuries. We're the church. Yeah.
That's right. And there's red wine to be had.
Yes.
And gelato. Why
That's
you
right.
can't get hurried.
In vino scanitas. Yeah, you are, in fact, listening to the Catholic Underground. We are online at catholicunderground.tv. I'm Father Chris Decker. Sitting to my left, your right, Kathleen Lee. We've got Father Ryan Humphreys, who is always on deck, and he's usually good for a laugh. Jeff Blackwell is at the audio board. We've got Mary Kate Taylor and Ed Ball on the video thingamajig. And we are being audited, as we said earlier, by the folks from Pietom Ministries. They're sitting in, watching how we do what we do, and hopefully they like what they see. So, that's who we are. And we're going to go right back to funerals for a moment.
I love dead things. Great.
You should see his garden. There's just nothing live out there. It's all wilted. Only kind of cabbage he likes, wilted. Spinach, wilted. Yeah. Anyway,
Morticia Adams is my favorite character.
Oh, man.
Indeed. So, funerals, Father.
Yeah, so I came across an article by a musician named Andrew Moitka, who said that one of the best things that he has done in his parish and that we should all do is we should use funerals as examples for liturgical reform. And I first read the headline and I was like, gosh, use a funeral? I mean, that's just morbid and sad and kind of dirty. I mean, we're trying to bury somebody and try to help the family mourn, and then some jerk wants to use the funeral for some self-serving purpose. But it was a really amazing article because he pointed out we can really give no greater gift to the dead and to those who are mourning than a mass. Doing it well, really offering it to God beautifully. And he said when you offer the mass beautifully and it's accompanied by a sermon that does not say grandma is already in heaven, then all of a sudden the Mass starts to make sense, and it starts to become something that it allows us to express our grief and express our sorrow. And it really became a kind of a beautiful thing, and it moved me because, funerals and weddings are when fallen away Catholics are likely to be in church. It's when you have a captive audience. It's when they're less ideological. It's when they're less concerned about the watch, making sure you're out in exactly 28 minutes or exactly 58 minutes. And so his argument is that we ought to put aside eagle's wings and amazing grace, and let those happen at the wake, do them at the burial, whatever. But for the Mass, let the Church's liturgy speak for itself. And he said, do the In Paradisum. Do it in English, do it in Latin, who cares? Do the Dies Irae. Do it in English, do it in Latin, who cares? But let the musical patrimony of the Church really speak.
Yeah.
And these people who are trying to mourn can then receive what the Church is really trying to offer them, and not just some kind of sugary syrup that's meant to make us feel better until we go home.
Yeah.
And then when it finally hits, of course, we have nothing to help us.
We're
on our own there, and all we can do is eat Haagen-Dazs. Whereas if we allow the wound to really be open in the Church, then God is there to help. And so it really is an act of love, and not an act of anything else, to try to help those people open that wound up and let them mourn in the Church instead of waiting until all they've got helping them is Haagen-Dazs and Snuggles.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little secret. Ready? I'm kind of doing that now. Because I have found, just through my own trial and error, if you will, that you are right 100%, and I think that Andrew is correct as well. This is a time when many people who have fallen away from the faith, who don't have an experience of the Church, or more than likely, if they're fallen away, who have kind of a sentimental notion of what church was like when they were young, they come in sometimes with these preconceived notions that the Mass is going to be like it was when Grandma took them. And so I often will say, because it's kind of a big thing in my parishes to read the eulogy, or rather to read the obituary at the Mass. And there's been this notion that the Mass doesn't really count unless the obituary is read.
Wow.
And so I've shifted that, rather than the obituary kind of taking the place of where the eulogy ordinarily is permitted. I said, well, let's do all of that stuff at the visitation before the funeral Mass. So if there are eulogies, if there are other ministers of other faiths that are there for the funeral, as is very common in my area, if there are obituaries and things to be read, let's do all of that before that point, before the Mass begins, so that we can then let the liturgy speak for itself. Because the liturgy is a time really for us to simply allow the readings, to allow the homily, to allow even the Eucharistic prayer to wash over us. And in the same way that that whenever you have an open wound, as the grief of someone dying often is, we want that wound to be soothed, right? And sometimes that involves cauterizing it. It involves a little pain. And so I tell folks, crying during the funeral is very, very okay. Being angry during the funeral is very, very okay. But let's not try and shift the focus back on ourselves. Let's allow the Lord to minister to us through the words, the timeless words of the liturgy. And I have found more often than not, when I've done what folks might consider a traditional thing, like I simply sing in plain chant the prayers of farewell over the casket as I incense it. And it's been 5 years in the parish, and the parishioners, now they sing their response. They know it, and it takes the place of the Imperadisum, and it's really a healing thing. And that's usually whenever they'll start to cry and begin to process some of this stuff that's been opened during the liturgy, is when the casket is being incensed that final time.
Yes.
And I've found that that's been a really beautiful, if I can say, laboratory. But I use it in the most reverent way possible, that the funeral can be a source. And I know people who have come back to church because a funeral spoke to them, and not because we tried to make the funeral speak, using our stuff. Right. So, end of homily. Go in peace.
Good work.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know, Jeff. You've known quite a few funerals. You've had family members and parents also who have gone to the Lord.
Yes.
And I always get the sense that funerals are it may sound weird, but funerals are kind of special to you. I get that sense.
Yes.
As difficult as they are.
Right. And I mentioned last week I'm a 24-year-old Catholic, and my wife's father passed away quite suddenly, and I was asked to be a commentator, and at his funeral. But I was a pretty fresh Catholic then, I told my wife, I said, that was the most special funeral I have ever witnessed and attended in my life, and that's the way I want to go.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And
that's what I've found, is that whenever someone attends a funeral that is well done, right, that is beautiful in and of itself, they will often say that's what I want. And it's less, because there's also another line, I don't know if you hear this, Father Ryan, there's, I don't want to be a bother to anybody. And so they say, I'd like the lowest common denominator funeral. No Mass, just the readings, just the bare minimum, because I don't want to be a bother. But what I found is that when people experience a beautiful funeral Mass, they say, that's where I want my casket. I want my casket in the center of that.
Right.
Yeah. It's important.
It is.
Very.
Well, and part of that too is if people believe they're already going to heaven, then they don't. Then they, and that's one of those things that's challenging, because everybody else is saying, well, Mama's in heaven now, and you don't want to be the giant jerk who says, well, no, she's not, because she might be in heaven. Mm-hmm. But it's a very difficult situation, and of course it's terrible for the soul, because now nobody's praying for them. Everybody's just happy, and they're patting each other on the back and saying it's okay. And that soul, if they could come back into their body and raise up, they'd go, you goofballs, stop saying that and start praying for me.
Yeah.
Because even if they are in heaven, they want to see people grow in holiness. And, so as more and more people fall into that error that everybody goes to heaven when they die, the more we simply don't care about funerals. And so I think that, like you're right, Father Chris, the more we show in the funeral that what we're doing matters.
Yeah.
The more we're correcting the theology, that lex orandi, lex credendi thing. It's a back and forth.
Yeah. And of course, you could probably do a whole nother show on the importance of doing that in weddings.
Yeah, we could.
But boy, oh boy, can I tell you, if I got to hear the prayer or any more Angelo Bocelli, I'm gonna have a moment.
That guy, not okay. He's not welcome. Hey, you're not welcome here.
Maybe if he's
you
on
droids.
Latin,
Droids go outside. No droids here.
These are not the Bocellis you're looking for.
They're really not.
So from death back to the beginning of life. Kathleen, you're a teacher. I think maybe we can both speak to this. 7 things that our parents are missing.
Yes.
And this is the importance of thinking liturgically.
Yeah.
Just within the way that we live, right? Liturgically, I guess, Father Ryan, meaning that that we need to be very intentional about what we do, right?
Right, and this list comes from the beginning of an entirely separate article, about thinking liturgically and about thinking more broadly. And it's really fascinating because this list didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense with the article, but it turned out to be the best part of the whole thing. Yeah. So it's a really good list.
And because we like lists, we thought we'd go through. We love the list, my friends. Love the list. So we think we go through the list with you. Number 1, they don't understand their faith well enough to pass it on to any children they may have. This is a common thing I hear from maybe a baby boomer Catholic or maybe even now a millennial that's beginning to have children is, well, I don't really understand my faith, so I don't know how to pass that on, And do you find this maybe with some of our contemporaries now?
Yeah, I always say that some of the biggest understandings in the church are because people just don't know, obviously, but people hate or disagree or hate things that they don't even fully understand.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand why the church does that, so I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of my kids who are coming to my 3-year-old and 4-year-old and 5-year-old program at St. Mary's, the parents are sending them and they're saying, yeah, we're sending them here because we love St. Mary's, but we're sending them here because we're basically just passing off that obligation to provide religious education. And hey, God bless them for it. If I look at myself and I say I'm not qualified, but that's one of the things our parents really need to be able to give them the faith in a way that they're able to pass it on to their children. Otherwise, we're just doing it. We're doing triage one generation at a time.
Yeah, which never really works. You can't ever catch up to that. Number 2, they're unable to articulate a coherent case for what it means to be Catholic. This is, of course, I think also why there are growing numbers of Catholics who are getting interested in apologetics and things like that. Mm-hmm. Because so many that I encounter, especially now older Catholics, they say, I want to articulate why I'm Catholic. I come to church, but I really want to begin to understand why I do what I do outside of church, and that's a really important thing. I know, Jeff, have you been involved in the apologetics stuff before?
I had not, and in fact, when I first heard the term apologetics, it confused me. It's like, what are we apologizing for? But that, of course, I learned that is not the meaning of apologetics. Right. So, just listening through, Catholic radio, Catholic media, I have learned a lot, and I can't hear it enough. I love to soak it up, and because coming from a Protestant background. There were always, they'd have tracts to push in your hand, to push in other people's hands, and you're going to hell, and for various and sundry reasons. But
yeah, exactly.
But and then I, as I became Catholic, realized a lot of that stuff that I had heard was, about Catholics was totally false, and that led me to actually become Catholic. Because wait a minute, what happened when after Jesus was crucified, rose from the dead, ascended into heaven? Where did the church go from there? And not only that, but why? Why things happen? So that's enter apologetics. And in fact, I just ordered a book. I believe the name of it is Why Catholics Are Right.
Yeah.
Michael Cohen. Yeah.
Michael Cohen. That's right. So I've heard things from that book. I'm trying to amplify the apologetics of my life.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the reasons it's so difficult is because so many of the Protestants nowadays, not your classic Lutheran or Methodist, but so many of your modern Protestants are, the answer is, well, why are you Baptist? Why are you Methodist? You say, well, I like this church, or I like the pastor, or my family goes there, or I have friends there, or it's a welcoming community, or I like the band, or I'm dating the musician, or I work the soundboard, or the answer is something that's generally disconnected from anything about worshiping Jesus Christ.
Right.
And maybe the answer is I feel near to God, but it's almost always this hyper personal.
Yeah.
And G.K. Chesterton ultimately said, people look up and he asks, and he goes, I don't have a good answer for him except to say it is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's somewhat difficult to make a cohesive case for Catholicism, to have that elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's the responsibility of the church to give you that elevator pitch and not to expect you to, to figure it out on your own. I mean, that's just so in this case, the church has failed us for the last 50 years, I think, to adequately give, this simple, clear case for why I'm a Catholic.
Yeah, and I mean, that falls upon the shoulders of the priests and the catechists, certainly, to be able to do. In fact, that's why I often say, and you hear me say it on the show, I would say 90% of the homilies I give are catechetical in nature. They're teaching homilies, if you will, because that's where we are. We need to be able to give a coherent case for what it means to be Catholic. For example, the road to Emmaus, basically that whole story, that's the Mass. You're walking along, you're minding your own business. Jesus comes up behind you. He starts explaining what the readings mean. He starts with the Old Testament with Moses and the prophets, and he goes all the way through till the gospel himself. And then, just when you think that he's about to go on farther, you ask him to stay with you and the Eucharist. And as Jeff pointed out so well today, you were talking about how you were surprised that there was a line that stood out that you hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, in today's gospel.
Yeah, and that line was?
That line was that, Jesus broke the bread.
Yep.
He gave it out, and then disappeared.
That's right.
And I'd never heard or actually paid attention to that in all my years.
To which I told Jeff, he didn't disappear because he stayed right there.
Yay!
Eucharist! Anyway, So yeah, that kind of a homily, to be able to explain that sort of thing, so people can take that home and go, oh wow, and then begin to unpack it in their own discussions at home. Oh gosh, are we only on number 2? Number 3, they believe that their own subjective beliefs and experiences are a more important arbiter of truth than the church. It's what I like to call the church of the bubble. The bubble that I happen to exist in right now, my little personal defense field.
Yes.
That's the most important truth. And, well, I think we can all agree that doesn't take much to puncture that bubble.
No, it's pretty weak.
Right.
Number 4, they pick and choose what they want to believe, discarding the parts they dislike. In particular, the teaching on sexuality and sexual morality. Kathleen, this is what we call cafeteria Catholicism.
Ah, yes. A little buffet line.
Oui. Yeah.
Preach on,
and we have to realize just how big of a deal this is when parents do this, because it instills in their children an idea that this is just one kind of ethical system that is designed to give you a vague sense of satisfaction. And so whenever you want to go outside of it, feel free to go outside of it. And so when parents are doing this, they're actually causing huge amounts of damage. And it's not just in sexuality, but it's a really, really big deal when a parent embraces cafeteria Catholicism, because it gives the basic foundational understanding of faith that their child is going to have is going to be broken from minute one, and it's going to take that child a lifetime to repair that kind of fundamental philosophical way of looking at the world. So it's a really giant thing, for parents to try to fight against this temptation.
And then another temptation to fight against that, they're less involved with the church as an institution, e.g. they don't go to Mass often, and they feel more loosely tied to it than previous Catholic generations. There once was a time, and this isn't just looking to the halcyon days of the 50s or 40s or 30s, there once was a time when more or less the church was the center of life. Everything that you did as a family spoke from your involvement in the church. And now, would you say, Father, that that those spokes are becoming centralized in other places, especially like youth sports?
Well, I think what's actually happened is that the spokes have just become disconnected.
Yeah.
And you just try to hop, a la Star Wars, lightsaber battle from random, pathway to random pathway, and you just hope to God you don't slip.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing really that creates cohesion in life. Which I think is why the divorce rate is so sky high, because there's just nothing that since like everything kind of comes back to this. So a lot of these young Catholics are disconnected, Catholic parents, from the institutional church, and because of that, they're trying to live Catholicism, which is a religion, as if it were a spirituality. And it doesn't work. You can't have a purely spiritual Catholicism because Catholicism is sacramental, and sacramental means church.
That's right.
So,
it certainly does. Yeah, I had a person call me recently, and the person said, "Father, I'm not. I grew up Catholic, but now I'm just straight Christian." Like, I don't exactly know what that means, but I think I have an idea where you're going. And they had a question about cremation, and they said, "Well, I can't find this in the Bible anywhere, and I'm really, really worried because that's what I want." And my first thought was, well, okay, why are you calling a priest to ask me my, quote, opinion, unquote, on cremation? So I had to explain, well, if you grew up Catholic, you know about the Bible, but you also probably know about sacred tradition from which the Bible comes. Out of that sacred tradition, God inspired the writers to compile the Bible and this and that. And I said, so cremation in this sense is permitted as long as you believe this and this and this about the body, about the resurrection and whatnot. And the person was very grateful, but I was thinking to myself, well, if you didn't just see this kind of Catholic ethereal Catholicity that you once knew as a spirituality, and you were really plugged into the church as visible institution of Christ, this wouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be crying right now, And of course, I didn't say that. Obviously, you do have to certainly guide someone along in that time of panic. But yeah, that's what happens whenever the church ceases to be a religion and just becomes a church of whatever I want it to be at the moment, So yeah, let's see. They tend to believe that the Catholic Church is just one church among others with no special claim to the truth. This is kind of like what we were talking about just now. As Catholics, we certainly believe that this is the church that Jesus intended, the church that he founded. If it wasn't, then he wouldn't have walked along with those disciples on the road to Emmaus. He wouldn't have given them the Eucharist and then, quote, disappeared, unquote.
Yeah.
Right. He would have just done a whole bunch of different things all over the world and said, whichever one of these you like, do that. But no, he took bread. He said, do this.
Yes.
He took wine. He said, do this. And then finally, they affirm a Catholic identity, but reserve the right to define that as they want to. Plus, they see their Catholicism not as being the center of their identity, but one facet among others. I will bet, Kathleen, that you see this a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And my students, of course, it's not, they don't, somebody once said, we put Jesus in line with all the other things that we do. I am a soccer player. I am a daughter. But he is a part of every one of those things in our life. Mm-hmm. And we don't often do that.
Or furthermore, to see, as we talked about, spokes instead of just bases that you're jumping to, that everything that I do first comes to me from that central experience of who I am as a Catholic, as a follower of Jesus Christ in the church that we believe that he founded. And that really, ordering things in that way can actually begin to bring a great vitality to the way that we live. Because, Father, one of the things that as a priest I know perhaps you and I try to do the most is to try to convince folks, if convince is the right word, that to live as a Catholic is to live a fully integrated life.
Yeah, the general idea in the world is I wake up, I decide what I'm going to do, I've got a plan for my life, and then I figure out the stuff that I want to put in it.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to lose weight, maybe I want to get holy this week. But the basic premise of Jesus is you're either going to burn in hell for all eternity or you're going to go to heaven. If you want to go to heaven, you're going to do it my way. If you don't, you're going to burn in hell, and that's just the way it is. And so it's like Jesus is laying out a path, and in the modern world, I'm supposed to lay out my own path. And if those paths are not the same, it's not going to be okay.
Right.
And so for the Catholic, we have to abandon the notion that I know what's best for my life and get on board with the path of Christ. And that is contrary to a lot of, most things. And of course, we've got parents are doing this to their kids saying, you can do anything. What do you want to do with your life? But they're not saying, what has Christ given you? What does Christ want you to do with your life? And how are you going to work out your way to get to heaven? The motto of my school, we've kind of changed. It used to be all about unity, and now it's ad caelum ad collegium, to heaven and to college. That's what we're here to do. And, if you're not planning to get to heaven, then you're basically deciding all along the way that you want to go to hell. It's a big problem.
Which is a problem. Maybe, Father, just don't melt cheese all over everything.
Maybe not.
Good place to start.
Yeah, it's something.
All right. Well, yeah, let us know what you think, as you always do. You have thoughts? Why don't you tell us them? Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com is the way to do it. But right now, we're going to go to that part of the show that you newcomers might know as the CU Pick of the Week. And for our CU Pick of the Week, we first are going to go over to Kathleen because I like her Pick of the Week.
Today we're going to talk about cutting the cheese. Yes. Yes, we are.
You had nothing better to do. You sat at your desk earlier today and you made this joke up, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's what you did.
I'm working on it. This is a shout out to my peeps.
Your fellow cheese cutters?
Sitting in Miss Hale's backyard this afternoon, we had a lovely dinner put on by some of our seminarians, Brad and Ryan. And we discussed, they had a myriad of cheeses, and they had all these, these cheese knives out there. And they all have, some of them have these little fork things on the end.
Yeah.
Some have holes, which I didn't see any there tonight, but I did find out why they have holes. And these cheese knives are both functional and ornate. So,
like a chalice should be.
Yes, and so for many years I've looked at these cheese knives, and said, "What the heck? We just cut it. We just need a knife."
I just want the cheese.
Yeah, but the one that we were discussing had, these little fork things, and we were like, "What is this?" Well, apparently you cut the cheese and you flip the knife over, take the little fork, and you serve the cheese to your guests. What? That's simple, yet that lovely. And the holes are made so that the cheese doesn't stick to the knife. For years, I've been using the wrong cheese knives, and
there you go.
Now I've found several, websites which I have posted. We'll post in our show notes on the appropriate knives for the appropriate kind of cheese.
She's found cheeses,
and how, in fact, to cut your own cheese.
I love that. She's found cheeses.
If you want to cut the cheese, I'll show you how.
That, my friends, is quite possibly the best infomercial on the CU Pick of the Week that we've ever had.
It's been a good day.
Tell you what, Jeff, top that.
I can't. I do have two picks of the week. Number one, now, Father, you need to tell our listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Father Chris gave me a button, which I'm wearing on my lapel here.
Yeah. Jeff is part of Starfleet Academy's engineering course.
There you go.
Might be an extension course, but yeah, you got your button there.
Go. My pick of the week is a new app that I found. What had happened, and I rarely let my iPhone, run down battery wise, but I had a couple of long days this week, and it got down to like 10%. And there is a I won't mention her name, but she has her own radio show, and it's about computers and technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she had a YouTube video about how you can and when your battery starts running low, how to save power. And it's kind of obvious stuff, turn down the brightness, turn off all the apps that are running in the background. And if it's really critical, don't use any bright colored wallpaper, go to a darker color, and it uses less power, things like that.
Huh.
However, there is an app, and you'll have to help me out here, Father, because I don't have the notes in front of me.
No, Battery Doctor.
A Battery Doctor, and it's by
Cheetah Mobile.
Thank you. I was about to say that.
Or Cheetah Mobile. I don't know if they're from Alabama or not.
It's a UK company.
Oh,
but it's a free app. It is a free app, and it's got the useful tips already built in. It's got monitors, so when you're charging, you can actually see what's going on.
Oh,
it's a really neat little app, and like I say, it's free.
I like those apps that kind of peel back the veil of iOS, so that you can see what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Father Ryan, your pick of the week.
I really, really, really like organizational apps.
He really does.
A lot.
Really. Yeah.
And most of the organizational apps I've used have used the same basic method of you have some kind of board or some kind of one storage space, and then within that you have a bunch of cards, like all of a note cards, where you can do this kind of thing, and that's generally the metaphor that's used, and that's good for organizing to-do lists and things like that. But this new service I found called Trello, and they're not super new, I think it's been around a year or two, but I've just come across them. It's amazing in that they add a third layer. So what you have is you have an organizational kind of system like a board, And then you have cards within the board, and then each of those cards can contain multiple items in a specialized list, each of which can be labeled, assigned to other people, et cetera, et cetera. It's fairly boring for most human beings, but for me, it's extremely cool. And it's allowed me to use my Eisenhower matrix and my GTD and my Inbox Zero, and it's all in a widget on my phone. It makes me very happy.
Ooh.
And so if you like organizational systems like this, Trello is free, and it's extremely smart. And there's a lot of good articles out there like Lifehacker and stuff how to use Trello, but it's really it's a great little service. And so I strongly recommend it for people who, like me, who are nerds and or OCD. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. So Trello, Trello.
Yeah. I'm not OCD. I like the idea of this, but just looking at it makes me go cross-eyed.
Oh, my.
But then again, that would explain my pick of the week. Before we do my pick of the week, I need to know how to pronounce a U with an umlaut over it. Is it I think,
usually, yeah.
Yeah, so my pick of the week is The Journey to Emmaus by Robert Zund. And it's a very famous picture, and it's very bright. It's a bright picture of the two disciples, one of them named Clopas, the other one we do not know. Maybe because, Jeff, it was you. And so Jesus is walking along behind them, and it's a really kind of a beautiful painting. And because this was the weekend that we read my favorite reading in all of Scripture in the Gospel, I choose that painting, which is available on art.com if you want to buy one as big as your couch or as small as your puppy. You can do so. And so that's my pick of the week, The Journey to Emmaus by Robert Zund. So let us know what your pick of the week is. You can do so, backchat at CatholicUnderground.com. Father, do you want to speak briefly about the pilgrimage? Is there anything to say?
We have one seat left. Wow. Theoretically, if we need to, we can squeeze two in. We're going to be going to Florence, Assisi, Rome, Orvieto, seeing the Eucharistic miracle there. It'll be October 20th through 29th. You can call 318-352-3422. That's 318-352-3422. And you can get with us right away, and we'll be happy to set you up. It should cost a little under $4,000. That includes flights and most of your meals. And you can also connect with us through minorbasilica.org if you have questions. But it's right around the corner, and so if you want to come, you need to sign up right away.
And the jokes with Father Ryan and myself, those are free.
Gratis.
Oh, you might
Gratis. Yeah. And as always, Jeff, we thank those who support us, don't we?
Indeed we do, Father. Portions of the Catholic Underground are brought to you by audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground. That's audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground.
That's right. For the show notes that accompany this episode and the podcast, if you want to find out more about us, you can go to CatholicUnderground.com to do that. Father Ryan's church is, in fact, online at minorbasilica.org. He's at F.R. Humphreys on Twitter. Thank you, Father Ryan.
It's been my pleasure.
Jeff Blackwell is the tech director of the CU. He's the ruling despot at the Blackwell Communications Group. He's at jeffblackwell.us, and he's on Twitter at Jeff Blackwellis. Thank you, Jeff.
There you go. It's an honor.
Whew, Kathleen Lee is the Faith Ninja. She joins us as she always does. Thank you, Kathleen, at KathleenYABR.
Anytime, and now I'm equipped with cheese knives.
She is. Ed Ball is on the ball with our video feed this week, and Mary Kate Taylor is an evangelist. In her spare time, she intentionally misspells the names of her friends. She does. And you know me, I'm Father Chris Decker. You can follow me on Twitter at Digital Catholic. Join us on the interwebs for the Catholic Underground at CatholicUnderground.tv. We thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us on the digital continent. We are Catholic Underground. We are Faith Gone Digital, and we, my friends, will see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.
Oh, my. It is the See You Later.
It is.
Here we are. And we've got a wide shot. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice? If you're watching us on the video feed. Actually, if you're listening to the See You Later, you won't see a wide shot because you're listening to us.
Oh.
And the See You Later only happens for those who are listening on the podcast.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. So that's how.
So video doesn't count.
The video doesn't. Although I think we leave the raw feed of the YouTube video up on YouTube. So the ones that
when I download the podcast, I don't ever hear the "See you later."
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if there is a "See you later," Jeff puts it in there.
Well, there may have not been a "See you later" on that episode.
If it was, there's some of them that aren't.
Oh,
I was listening to
that's
one
true.
recently, and it came to the end and went, "We'll see you later."
The
and then it went
canonization one doesn't have any thing.
Could have been that one.
Yeah.
Mike says that hour went fast. Thanks. Well,
It was good to have the old gang all back together.
yeah. The "See you later" does not go quickly. I listened to the "See you later" from episode 261 while I was trying to beat Kathleen. I lost my Fitbit for like a week, and so I fell behind.
Kathleen is unbeatable in terms of just randomly walking.
Yeah, and you know why? Because
she's a
she is
teacher.
trying to beat Sarah Beth.
Yes.
Oh,
well,
is that what it is?
Sarah Beth has like 120,000 steps, and Father Brent Mayer and I compete for second place because she's always at least 50,000 steps ahead of us because she's a runner.
Yeah.
And
well, that's cheating.
And somewhat of a
That's cheating.
Yeah.
She's actually active. That's
She's in
unacceptable.
tip-top shape. That doesn't count.
And so, this past week I said I'm going to hit 10,000 steps every day, and you know what? I did.
Yeah. That's why the Fitbit's so awesome is because it's for goal setting.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's great for gamifying that stuff.
We're close, Kathleen. We're close. It's Sunday. We're close.
Oh.
As soon as my new treadmill comes in, I usually will get myself where I'm going to do 12,000 every day, and then I just look at the end of the day and go, got to do 3,000.
That's what I do now.
And then do you walk around your house until you get your goal?
Yeah. Well, I found that around my apartment complex once is about 1,000 steps. So.
Okay. Oh.
Well, once my treadmill comes in, it's 3/4 of a mile for me is about about a third of a mile is 1,000 steps for me.
A 50-minute walk on the levee for me is almost 5 miles and about 9,000 steps.
So you're gonna say
You walk 5 miles in 15 minutes?
No, 50.
Oh, there you go.
50.
55.
I was going to be wildly impressed.
50 Martian minutes. Actually, Martian minutes would be different. I don't.
And I bring Chunk out, my little French bulldog. It rained this week. I went out. It was hot. I went out. I had to drag Chunk along a little bit, but
you go.
Sounds like a motivational speech from the movie The Guardian.
Yeah.
You mean with Ashton Kutcher?
Ashton Kutcher.
I don't think I've seen that movie all the way through.
I love sappy military movies like that.
Oh,
They make me so happy because I love a training montage. There is nothing.
There's always a
finer
training montage.
in this world in terms of cheesy film than a training montage.
That's
I
right.
love them.
So the average length of a Martian day,
yes,
is 24 hours, 37 minutes, and 22.663 seconds. But a solar day on Mars is 88,775.24409 seconds, or 24 hours, 39 minutes, and 35.24409 seconds.
You realize that minutes are always the same.
Not on Mars, y'all.
days can change, but minutes don't.
because we set the standard on our planet, right?
That's right.
What hours? Well, a minute is 60 seconds, and 60 seconds is a certain amount of times that an atom moves around the atomic clock.
Oh,
so
right.
Like a day, or a day is a function of the rotation of a planet, but a minute is just a function of fixed time.
So Rent was right.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be annoying.
Hey, no, I'm happy because let me tell you, if we were both at a party, I'd be popular.
Yes, you would. We wouldn't both be at a party though. If we were, I'd be sitting in the other room.
He'd be at the beach.
Yeah,
Rusty.
I've got something to look at on my phone, or I've got to play Parcheesi or something. I don't know.
Or phone Parcheesi, which I'm sure would be tedious.
There's got to be an app.
No doubt.
I'm sure.
So yeah, 89 Earth days is equivalent to 199 Earth days.
Wait, 80 Earth days is a.
It says 193 Martian days is equivalent
Martian days.
to. Oh no, I'm just looking. Okay, 193 Martian days is equivalent to 199 Earth days.
How did you make it through the entire show without saying anything about Star Wars, and now we're going on about Martian days?
May the 4th be with you. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the 4th.
And one of my commenters on Facebook had the correct answer, and with your spirit. There it is, folks. Yeah.
I woke up to that this morning, and I thought,
You did?
oh, well, my Facebook feed was flooded with.
Oh, that particular, yeah. I figured I would just do it because, and again, as Star Wars goes, I'm not a huge Star Wars aficionado. You'll want Father Roderick Vonnegut for that.
You don't want Father Roderick for not anything ever.
But yeah, so I'm more of a Star Trekian, but I dabble.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the average solar day for Tatooine. I don't know that.
No, Father Peter Falk is a big fan of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, so does he know like all of the apocryphal literature and all of the things that are canon? Because apparently all the books in Star Wars are canon. Because George Lucas and his thyroid,
the Timothy Zahn books are canon, but I don't think all of them are.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
But the official actually ruling came out recently from Disney that they're just simply they just decanonized all the books.
The High Disney Court hath spoken on this May the 4th. All of your books are void.
The High and Mighty Eisner has spoken, and there will be no more canon.
We cast them into the outer darkness with the devil and all his angels who are fallen.
Yeah.
If you believe in that sort of thing, which we don't because we're Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome, America.
But it's tragic because my least favorite director in the whole wide world, the guy who ruined the Star Trek franchise for me.
Oh, J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
There, I said your name.
He who shall not be named is also going to be doing Star Wars now and ruining that franchise for me. And the group of complete goofballs they hired to be in the new cast is not exciting.
They're basically all Jar Jar Binks, aren't they?
They're all going to be.
Yeah.
And then they brought back the entire cast of old,
Oh, so old.
That's really all they are is old. I mean, these movies were started in 1977. Yeah. These are old people now. and the idea that these people are going to be doing stunt work, I mean, come on, it's
the money's going to be good for them, though.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they've...
Or they could just, pay them and insure.
Well, listen...
I may not even see the seventh movie because, it's just sad.
I loaned America and the world, loaned Father Chris Decker, Cowboys and Aliens on Blu-ray.
I still got it.
I know you haven't seen it. But Harrison Ford is in that. Now, he's 70 years old.
Yeah.
And he does some stunts in there.
Well,
and the guy still got it now, Father Ryan.
Okay, okay. Does he still got it compared to Indiana Jones 4?
Of course not.
Okay,
No.
good.
No,
I'll watch
let's
it.
not mention that ever either.
But let me tell
No,
you.
see, Harrison Ford in Ender's Game was okay because it was not so much the action, it was the gravitas.
Right.
And he does it from time to time, not always, but bring a gravitas to the film.
That's why he was good in the chick flick Morning Glory.
Which was so good.
Yeah, that was good.
I love that film. I celebrate its entire catalog.
I worked in TV with a guy like that, so yeah.
And so, but I mean, it's
third worst
just
person in the world.
Yeah.
Star Wars is one of those movies where if you go back and you watch Alec Guinness try to act in the fourth one, it just doesn't work, because he's swinging the lightsaber around like, it's a salami or something. You're trying to keep away a kid from messing with it, and it's not good. And then the modern efforts to bring us Jar Jar Binks, and that little kid who is just a disaster. It's just it's so.
I'm not sure if Harrison Ford can still do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. That's all. I don't know.
You've got to think if they haven't upgraded the Millennium Falcon by now, you might as well just hang the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really.
Can we get a firmware upgrade? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, but you see, you can't turn off the Millennium Falcon while the firmware upgrade is happening. Otherwise, you may brick the whole thing.
Well, then brick it. I mean, come on. You're killing me.
It's basically a big space brick anyway. Why don't you call it SS Space
Plug
brick?
it into the giant antenna array thing on Endor.
Yeah.
Plug the USB.
I don't think that the Millennium Falcon is plug and play.
Father Chris, it's a universal serial bus.
Yeah, but it's a galaxy far, far away, Father Ryan.
It's a universal serial bus.
Okay,
If it doesn't support USB, it's dead to me.
Kathleen is catching up to us. Kathleen, you're
I've had to Google a few things.
Kessel Run. Actually, I had to do that. I couldn't remember how many parsecs it was. Sorry. They never did figure out how many parsecs the Kessel Run was.
See, that's the difference in our Googling. I Google, what the heck is a parsec?
Actually, it's interesting you should say that.
Oh, yes.
Because
Please
a parsec is
share.
a unit of measurement, not a unit of speed.
That's right. Distance, you mean?
Yeah, distance, I should say, yeah.
Yeah.
Klingons actually measure things in parsecs, whereas the Federation don't.
What deck is stellar cartography on?
12.
You see?
Depends on the Enterprise, but I assume I knew which one you were talking about.
Was that in the 4th or the 5th series?
And now you're just mocking me.
No. Yes, I am.
Yeah, cheesing you.
Cheese knife.
Is there a public bathroom in 10 Forward?
The answer is yes. I think. Pretty sure. You know, it's funny. I as you can imagine, I have all the technical manuals for these.
Yes.
And
as
the
long
next
as you don't have any trilithium, you're fine.
No, trilithium resin
Very
is
unstable.
very dangerous.
Very unstable.
Trilithium resin.
You want to put that in the smash room.
DOS break room?
We. Oh, my.
Yeah, but by far, I think the next generation and even the Deep Space Nine technical manuals are so awesome because they're written as if they are real, 100% real.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
that is kind of neat.
It is very neat.
Hey, can I borrow one of those?
Yes, in fact, I saved one from the Second and Charles store, which is the secondhand bookstore, which I like a lot. That's actually where you got your button from. Oh, and Kathleen, I didn't get your button, did I? Hold on.
No, I didn't get
in my
one.
pocket? Oh, it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
Kathleen, we have assigned you to Starfleet Medical Academy.
Yes!
And it matches your... Oh, look at that!
I've realized that I'm wearing way too much of the same color today.
No, I love your nails.
She's rocking the teal. Or
Does that mean
cerulean.
That mean I get to cut people open?
They don't cut people open on Star Trek.
No.
They basically just poke them with those little things that do go.
It's the cone-shaped device.
Yes.
But you do get medical tricorders, which are apparently cooler than regular tricorders.
Because they have the wand.
What
Yeah,
color
the
would
little
that
thing
be?
pops out and you wave it randomly at someone.
Yes, the
in a
wand. I
slightly
like that.
threatening gesture.
Right.
In the present iteration, she's
Be
actually
well.
wearing the right color for Starfleet Medical.
Be well.
Coincidence? I think not.
Well, there's no glitter on the present uniform unless it's the dress
Not unless
uniform.
I'm on board.
Kathleen, can we please ask you to put a standard uniform on? I prefer a bit
Never.
of decorum on the bridge.
I will not conform. Oh.
I just like to point out that we've been talking about Star Trek again. Sorry.
It always happens.
It does.
This can happen.
These things do happen. Although we did talk about Star Wars a good bit, so I think we've met our quota for at least 2 months.
Yeah.
We could talk about Babylon 5 if you'd like, but no one knows anything about it except me.
I wish I knew more about Babylon 5. It's
Such a good show!
Yeah, it's been hard for me to get through the series, I should say.
Yeah, it is. There's some very poorly put together shows.
Yeah.
And you just have to skip. It's sort of like, there's a lot of shows where you just, there's a couple of great ones in each season.
Mm-hmm.
X-Files is that way. There's maybe 7 great episodes in each season, and the rest is just tripe. So you try to watch the show, and you go back, and even ignoring the 80s hair, it's really tough to watch because most of the shows don't matter, but at the very end of this episode or that episode that's terrible, you have this one conversation, and that's where everything happens. And it's a tough show to watch.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer could be like that, as I recall.
Yeah, there's a lot of really terrible shows, but if you don't, you get that one little cut scene at the very end, and if you don't watch that, you don't really know what's going on next. So it's sad. Joss Whedon loves that kind of nonsense.
He does. Although, spoiler alert, I did see the Captain America Winter Soldier film.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Everybody talked well of it.
The thing I like, and I won't give anything away, but I like how it integrates with Marvel's The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They
really?
They integrate them, yeah.
See, I need to go
because
back and
one
watch
occurs concurrently with the other.
Okay.
That's pure Joss
Very
Whedon.
good. See, I can't watch that kind of stuff because my wife is, we don't watch that stuff. Let's
We'll
watch
just give her a Dramamine, put her in the corner, and watch.
Hey, there's a thought. But
that's what I do with Kathleen all the time. That's why she doesn't know.
Johnny
anything about
Walker
Star
comes in 5 colors.
And I think it's about wine 30, don't you?
That's right. It's wine 30 is margarita 50.
Hey, tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. So.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
Ole.
Viva Mexico!
Y después la misa en la mañana, I'm going to voy a ir al Lafayette for our clergy study days. We're having our pre-study study week in Lafayette.
Cerveza?
Y creo que sí. I think I will have some form of Mexican beverage. I will celebrate the Mexa beverage.
There we go.
¿Y queso?
Sí, queso también. Porque queso en any tipo es bueno, huh? Yeah.
Sí, sí.
In any...
Oui.
Yeah. TMR...
escargot. In la puerta es de la sopa.
One of my favorite I Love Lucy episodes is when she goes to France.
Uh-huh.
And your dress is made of soup?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, I mean, my cassock is not.
That's got to be hard to wear.
It's made of fabric. Not on Mars.
I actually said the gate is made of soup.
The
but
gate?
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, su ropa. Okay.
La
puerta. La puerta.
Stage de la sopa, yeah. It's okay.
Okay.
It was a Space Ghost quotation.
TMR 1013 says, Father Chris, did you tell Father Ryan who I said you remind me of when you give your homilies? I said no. That's why I'm saying no. Because I don't want to tell him.
Well, she already told me in the next quotation.
She just said it in the chat room.
Taylor.
Father Chris apparently reminds her of Sheldon Cooper.
Yes,
But I don't
indeed.
I don't see it.
I can see it. Yeah.
I thought Father Ryan was more of the Sheldon.
He is.
Yeah. Okay.
In affect.
Affect. Okay.
Not in affect. I tend to be extremely outgoing and stuff like that when I'm preaching. When I'm not preaching, I want to be left alone. I want to punch people in the nose. I'm very much like Sheldon then.
Uh-huh.
That's what I mean.
Yes. And I've never been known not to express my opinion.
Yeah.
The only difference is I never say where I actually want to eat. I let other people decide that.
It's the one concession that he gives.
Yes. Then I criticize harshly whatever it is they've offered.
It's true. Especially up in Father Ryan's domicile, they have a place that we lovingly called Fake Outback.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like Outback in every way, except it's not in any way.
Okie doke.
Yeah, it is a restaurant that teeters on the edge of time and space in a rip in the space-time continuum.
Yeah. Their menu is basically the Outback menu with different gimmicky kind of things.
Yeah, they're also kind of going for the cowpoke routine.
Yeah, they're trying to do the Old West instead of the
Right.
Australian kind of wilderness.
Right. So no rules, not right.
No, it's not very good, but it's fake Outback.
Yeah.
We got real Chili's, fake Outback, and we got plethora of bad Mexican, bad Chinese, and then all the deep fried fish, shellfish, rubber tires, anything you want. As long as it's breaded, we'll serve it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Naked-ish.
Or blacken. We'll blacken or deep fry anything you can find.
That's true. Yeah, so you can imagine the time we showed Father Z from a culinary perspective. Although I think we took him to some good spots.
Well, he enjoyed a lot of liquid nourishment.
He did. Yeah, that was important. Must be the diet or meal plan that he's on. I don't know.
That's right.
Anyway, so this, my friends, has been an extra long see you later. Why? Because we like you a lot.
And we had a lot of catching up to do, too.
We did. We've been off the air for a little while because, life happens,
Mm-hmm.
And so I know, Jeff, you've got a couple of weeks that you're going to be off. So hopefully we can find some replacements. In fact, it might be sitting to your left.
There's no one that can replace Jeff.
Well, Jeff is not as expendable as a red shirt, but he is in engineering. So I mean,
I like to see
coolant leak. Got a coolant leak, everybody.
My blue medical button.
I'm giving it all she got, Captain.
Thankfully, that's how we're still here. Kathleen, we could never get rid of you.
Yeah, so that's true. You never could get rid
You're
of
the teal sass in our show.
I just show up even when I'm not invited.
That's right. And she always, we've gone through so many back doors because she just, bam, has to make an entrance. I don't know.
Party's here.
You see, Taylor thinks that I'm going to get retribution for telling you. No, that's not how I roll.
No.
But I do sometimes call people out in the middle of Mass. I'm just saying, it could happen. Middle of the homily, if I'm searching for a name, look, if you have wronged me, there's a high chance that name may end up being the one that I find when I search. I'm just saying.
Are you willing to answer God's call to become a missionary or a nun? Taylor, are you?
That's right. These things, I'm not saying they may never happen, but sometimes they might.
I did that to a kid from my school. I was giving a sermon about vocations, and I said, "What about you, EJ?" And looked across. It was at a regular Sunday mass, and she was mortified. Everybody at school called her Sister EJ for a month.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I've been Father Chris Decker. We've Kathleened today, and we're happy that we have. And we also we Jeffed for a bit.
Just a bit.
Yeah, and we edited. That's editing, I guess. Yeah, and then Mary Kating. So yeah, there's that. This has been the See You Later. As we say, we are the Catholic Underground. You can catch us. Well, what?
And we Ryaned a little bit too.
Did I say? Yeah, Father Ryan. Yeah. Father Ryan's a lot. It never Ryans, but it pours.
Now you can wrap it up.
Scottish sounding.
Let's see here. Have I got my? Here we go. I got the sign.
Okay, there's the rap sign. The big rap party tonight. Okay. Yeah, we're the Catholic Underground. You know the drill. You can catch us all the time on the internets at CatholicUnderground.com. If this is your first time listening to the See You Later, well, go with God. And we hope that you haven't been put off of the CU. So, but we will. See you next time.
Good night, Father Ryan.
Good night. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.